Welcome back once again. As we earlier said, our first topic is going to talk about the media and its implication, its impact over people, and the awareness it is presenting or it is spreading among people. Actually, media as the foundation of any awareness is the foundation even of knowledge, considered so, but affects people in many ways. It affects people in the way they think, attitudes, feelings, and also awareness is very important when it comes to news. Fake news and credibility and the difference between pieces of news, different types of media, also the modern media, the old-fashioned classic media, which is also still effective and has its impact on different sectors in society. This is going to be our topic in this segment. We're very delighted to be having with us here in the studio Dr. Mohamed, Hashem, Professor of Mass Comm in one of the prominent universities in Cairo. Good morning, Dr. Mohamed.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on. I'm very privileged to be in this magnificent historical building in Egypt. Very, very happy to be here. Thank you for having me on.
It's a real pleasure. Let us first talk about the different types of media. Let us classify first the most effective ones now. We were brought up and were taught by the stereotyped classic old-fashioned media, which is the best, of course.
Okay.
But now we need to update our knowledge, we need to update our tools and system, and this is what's happening right now. If we don't cope with the momentum, we won't be able to compete with world media.
Yes, of course. I mean, I compare what's happening in the media now and social media and AI to 120 years ago when we went from horse and cart to the car. We can't ignore the car. We can't remain in horse and cart. Obviously, traditional media had its time. It was very unique to be in the media back in the 50s. I mean, when television started in the 50s, anybody who was on television was considered a very hierarchical thing. It was such a very high thing to be. Everybody aspired to be this media person. And anything they said, we had to believe back then. Because how many media personalities did we have in the 50s, 60s, 70s? Not many. You know, how many channels did we have? With the evolution of satellites over time, and then obviously the explosion of social media, it's become a sort of democratization. Everybody can do media now. When I studied media, it was just beginning to have this sense of something called co-production. You're producing your own thing, not just getting it done for you. So definitely important that we keep up to date with what's going on. Everybody has a podcast now. Everybody has a social media channel, whether it's TikTok or Instagram or Facebook. And what's very interesting is also the migration from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok. The loyalties between social media, it's become a brand now. I don't look at Facebook anymore, or I'm more of an Instagram person or more of a TikTok. How does that happen? That's really interesting how they make us migrate from one platform to the other, from a post on a feed to a story. How did that happen? From a story to Instagram, and then nobody uses, the younger generation doesn't use Facebook anymore. They use Instagram because of the attraction of the videos, and then they moved on to TikTok. So every platform has its attractiveness. And something I really want to speak about today is the mental state of people. It's actually an epidemic these days where people want a dopamine hit straight away. So everybody's sort of low on dopamine for many reasons. I don't want to get into the trauma aspect of it, but getting likes and getting follows and getting people to acknowledge what you're saying on social media gives you a dopamine hit. So people are sort of addicted to media, and they want that instant hit, the instant scroll and the hit and the likes. So it's really important to also talk about that.
Mentioning that particular part, it's a worldwide case. I mean,
yes,
it's a worldwide state of mind.
Definitely.
Let me just say, regardless of the many platforms, the modern ones and the new ones and everything, and the generations, and the difference between mentalities of different generations.
Yes.
But then there are the rules of media that anyone who is working in real media, we're talking about television, we're talking about the news, reporting what's happening, which is related very much to any type of media. But the credibility, the foundation of the rules of media and traditions are not common with everyone now.
Yes,
I mean,
of
you
course.
talked about podcasts and you talked about different platforms. I'm not going to mention names, but most of them, they know nothing about the foundation rules of media,
Yes.
to be subjective and not objective, and to have the credibility and not to be biased and all that.
Yes.
So how do you assess that type of media that is being exported to the people and new generations, and they're going to grow up to that type of media?
Yes, it's always been a struggle of mine since I studied media. When I was studying media, I had this thing in the back of my mind where anybody can do. I had this thing back then. Anybody can do it. It doesn't need a special degree. I had this struggle. You know, that's why I moved on to drama and I studied other things after media, because I had a problem with, if you're looking good and you're sort of charismatic on the camera and you know how to speak, you have a good voice, you can do it. But obviously, as you said, there are rules to media. But in saying that, you look at sports commentary, because I teach sports commentary also. So sports commentary, usually they get an ex-sports player to become the commentator, because he's trusted by the followers, by his fans.
You need to know the games.
He needs to know the games.
We don't know the games.
Yeah, more than
use people.
his ability to be a commentator. So it's a fine line between what the audience wants and what you can do as a professional media person. So sometimes the audience likes a media person who's biased or has a very strong opinion, isn't following the rules. It's what the audience wants at the end of the day.
Authoritative.
In Australia, where I was educated and lived all my life, I was a bit disheartened because all the people in the media, they didn't study media. They were all ex-sportsmen, they were in the field of sports, they were doing other things, and then they became media people. And this was before social media. And now social media has exploded. Anybody can turn on the camera and become famous or go viral or have a large following, and away from all the traditional things that we learned to be media professionals, yes.
But we grew up to icons, and we have seen people, I mean, people who are negotiators, people who read the news,
Yes.
and all that, and it's too bad that we don't take them as role models with the new generation.
It's hard to keep up. Back then, we had a few role models because media was such a unique and rare thing to be on. But with the explosion again, like I said, of obviously the satellites first, and then obviously now we have all sorts of media, millions of platforms. When you're scrolling, you're scrolling through channels in seconds on the phone or on your laptop. So we don't know who to follow anymore. There's so many. There's too much variety. It's like going into a supermarket and having too much choice. You don't know which one to choose. So definitely it's changed.
But then you go to the brand and quality, the expensive brand that lasts forever.
That's the problem. I don't think people are looking for quality anymore as much as a dopamine hit. This thing about the dopamine hit is really important to discuss, because they're not looking for quality like we used to. They're not remembering what they're hearing. There's too much information. There's a surplus of content online, so you don't actually know what you're listening to. You're getting affected by so many opinions. You can't, you don't know what's fake news, what's misinformation. And but it teaches you to be a sort of a researcher. What's happening now is teaching us I want to know the truth. So I'm going to look at YouTube, I'm going to look at Instagram, I'm going to go through all of them and also do some reading, and then also now get on ChatGPT and get on AI, and that's also really important to speak about. All this content that's coming, this surplus, this amazing influx of content. How do you decipher through them? How do you find out what's real and what's not real?
That's true. That's not good that you raised the idea of the AI in general.
Yes.
And as it is emerging now and it's overtaking the whole scene.
Yes.
How do you see the future of media with the presence of AI, especially if it's overwhelming? It's going to be in a few years. Nobody knows what's going to happen.
Yes,
so how exactly the situation of, cases like news, for example, like a news anchor, a reporter, the credibility of news, the traditional news and all that, how is that going to be taken with artificial intelligence?
I think they're not going to be able to, artificial intelligence isn't going to be able to replace a news reporter because of the whole human aspect, the emotional aspect. They haven't got there yet. They might be able to in 10 years' time, but they haven't got there yet. We still want to relate to a real person And we can tell when something's AI. We can tell when a poster is done by AI. We can tell when a presenter is talking that's made by an AI design. So we can still tell when it's fake, sort of. And we don't like it. We still want the real person. We want the raw emotion, but we don't know what's going to happen in the future. What I'm concerned about these days is the amount of content that AI has now, especially ChatGPT and DeepSeek. Where is all this information coming from? Are they paying for it? Are they paying the copyrights to get all this information from artists or from archives or from books? It reminds me of a study that I'm doing now of the Toledo translations in Spain, where they translated a lot of the Arabic into Castellan Spanish and Latin after Andalus, which is really interesting. And they weren't acknowledging a lot of these translations. I think the transition from all this content that AI is dragging from who knows where and how they're getting all this stuff, are they paying for it? Are the laws keeping up with the amount of content that's coming into ChatGPT? And where are they getting all this from? If you look at ChatGPT
from
2 weeks...
sources. One, I mean, a country is a power country, superpower country,
Yep.
or a different specific place, let me put it that way.
Are they paying for it, though? Are they paying for all this content?
That also would raise questions like...
Because the thing is, I have a lot of content online. I don't know if it's taken it from me. Well, maybe you need to pay me to take it from me, you know what I mean? A lot of artists, a lot of academics would want...
It is provided for everybody, but the idea is, or the question is for the future, will every country or specific countries are going to bring or produce its own AI system and feed it with information?
It's already happening.
In that case?
It's already happening, you know. It's already happening all around the world. Every country's taking its culture, putting it onto AI and turning it into its own unique system. And obviously the algorithms, the marketing behind everyone's identity, finding out what I like, what I don't like in a specific culture or country. I like it. I like the fact that I have my phone with me and all the algorithms are sending me stuff that I like in the country that I'm in the culture that I'm living in. I think that's fine. I mean, the algorithm's playing a big role in how it's shaping the AI of each country. You know, being in Egypt is different to being in Australia. Being in America is different to being in Europe. So the algorithm is playing a big role of assessing and giving you what you want. I like it.
Exactly.
Some people don't. But I think it's like a one-stop shop, you know. It's taken away all the physical things we needed a long time ago, you know, the mini disc and the videos and the CD. All that's gone now. It's all here in my pocket. I like information. I like ideas. So it's giving me everything in one space.
Let us also talk, I mean, this conversation is focused, whether we like or not, is focused only on social media. But we're talking about producing news.
Yes.
And pieces of news and giving the exact credible news to people. It doesn't have to go with if I'm with or against that piece of news, but I have to be a professional. And this would require certain qualifications, of course. So where do you see the future of that type of work when it comes to reporting a war, for example, to reporting a statement by an official? News in general, the types of reporting, investigative reporting, field reporting, this is going definitely to be affected by AI. It's going to be affected by the new stream of media and all that. Yes. So how do you assess the situation in the future?
I think even people that haven't been trained in media still need to get some sort of training. If they're going to get their training from YouTube or online somewhere or go to university where we teach the master's program, a lot of people that come to us work in traditional media, and some just come to learn some skills and then improvise and do their own thing. So the traditional education is never going to disappear. You certainly still need voice training, you need camera work training, you need to know how to use a camera, you need to know how to look in the camera, you need to know how to speak in the camera, you need to know how to decipher between information, you know, what's right and what isn't right and not being biased and all that sort of stuff. So education is never going to go away. If anything, people are going to get more educated. I mean, the amount of people that can use the camera now to make short movies, documentaries, even posting their work on all these platforms is pretty good, as opposed to 10 years ago or 15 years ago. And you don't know, are these people trained at universities or they just learned it on the go? But there's a lot of media out there. And there's a lot of quality out there. And there's a lot of bad stuff also. But I would say that there is more quality in terms of the filming and the sound and the techniques, media techniques, than there was 10, 15 years ago. And that's because it's become a democracy now. Anybody can do it. Obviously, there are countries that do limit, you know, even in the West. But everybody's doing it. And it's trial and error. Yeah.
So it's good that you mentioned the content. Amongst all what you have been talking about, and actually when it comes to the content, which is if I've been trained to know how to behave in front of a camera, and also how to look and all that, I mean to be able to know the type of image I'm supposed to be attaining in front of a camera and all this, but then the content remains very important. So talking about the content, do you think, or how do you assess major media outlets now covering wars, for example, political opinions and humanitarian points of view, and you know, all those decisive topics and
you
issues.
mean the style, the way they're doing it, or the content itself?
The way they do it, the system they are attaining. Do you think it's they are doing it as it comes in the book?
I think so. I think they're still sort of traditional, and they're very conservative. I mean, mainstream news media is still very conservative. It has its protocols, but it is learning a little bit from the social media. It's having a look at what is trendy, what is going viral, because a lot of the social media is taking over the mainstream. So if the mainstream is viral at, you know, 50 million views, and my mainstream channel, I would say a Western channel, has only 300,000, I need to start learning what the social media guy is doing, and I might take techniques from him, because the attention span has changed. The way we used to view movies, I mean, there used to be something called an intermission in movies, where you'd wait 20 minutes between each part of the movie, or at the beginning of the movie there was like the curtain, and you would wait 10 minutes before the movie begins. That's all gone, you know. People have the attention span of 3-4 seconds. So even in traditional media, we need to know how to keep that speed going and keep up to what's happening. And it's the avant-garde, the pioneers of media are the social media now. I think mainstream is learning from the social and the new generation. And yeah, I think so, definitely. Because that's where all the attention is. Yeah.
Right. On this note, of course, Dr. Mohamed Hashem, Professor of Mass Communication, would like to thank you so much.
Thank you so much. My pleasure for being here.
It's a pleasure having you on Now TV. And
My
you
pleasure.
have a good day.
Thank you so much.
And now it's Al-Ahram, founded on August 5th of the year 1876, the most widely circulating Egyptian daily newspaper, and the second oldest